he usually will come from when he discusses critical issues that has to do with film in Nigeria. So, sir, one more time, we are proud to have you. You're welcome. You are taking the small seat. That is the MC seat. So please find your way into the main seat. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. And we have the next person who is also a seasoned filmmaker. You don't need to introduce him because when he comes and he speaks, you know that he is someone who has passed through the phases of not just film education, but filmmaking. I'm proud to say that he is a product of the National Film Institute, one of the personalities that have put the NFI at the world map. Let me not take much of your time to talk about this fine gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Kenneth Gyang. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for Mr. Kenneth Gyang. You know, like minds will always move together. And so Kenneth Gyang, as one of the finest products of the National Film Institute, is not here today. He has someone who spoke yesterday and who mentioned that since 25 years ago that she left the NFI, she's been on a course of film advocacy and to help women and young ones alike when it comes to finding their path in the film industry. I'm proud to mention to you that she is my sister, in whom I am well pleased. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gloria Ugoli if she's in the house, please. Make some noise for Gloria Ugoli. When she was talking yesterday, I pinched someone close to me and said, "That's my sister." He said, "Do you know her?" I just opened my WhatsApp and showed her the last chat we had. Please put your hands together for Gloria Ugoli. We also want to welcome someone we all respect and admire here in Nigeria when it comes to film production and acting. He is the chairman of the jury for this year's Zuma Film Festival. He's been here all through when Zuma started. Very dedicated, committed, and a fine gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome my brother, Mr. Ejike Asiegbu, please. And permit me to add, no, sir. Thanks for coming. No, sir. Yes, this way. Fine. Thank you, sir. Also, I would like to welcome upstage here one of our international partners. She's been very active all the while since Zuma started. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's welcome Madam Mampi. Madam Mampi, all the way from South Africa. If she's here, let's put our hands together for her, please. Let's give her the Nigerian applause. Please keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going. And my sister, let me assure you that this is not going to be Super Eagles and South African football game. Thank you so much, and we appreciate your being here. So we also want to invite upstage someone that was described as a film journalist. And somebody asks, a film journalist? What is that supposed to mean? Well, it means that in the realm of journalism, this fine gentleman has cut a teeth for himself when it comes to not just reporting issues that has to do with film, but he is a critic in terms of film, and he has depth when it comes to knowledge about reporting film and shaping discussion for the industry. I will not want to waste any more time than to invite this fine man known as Abdul Karim Baba Aminu. Abdul Karim Baba Aminu. Let me add by saying, Sanu Dezua, Muna Amara Banganinka Ananyo. Thank you, sir. This way. So, take your seat, sir. Yes. At this point, I will invite the moderators that would midwife this discussion. The first on the list here is Barrister Juliet Okonkwo. Barrister Juliet Okonkwo, please, can you come up stage? And let's applaud her, please. Barrister Juliet Okonkwo is the head of legal services of the Nigerian Film Corporation. Ma, you're welcome. So she will sit close to Mr. Baba Ahmed there. And let me invite my own director, the hard-working director of Public Affairs Department. Sometimes I ask him, where do you get the energy you work with? 247, this gentleman works in order to put the Nigerian Film Corporation there in the public domain. I have the honor and privilege to invite upstage Mr. Brian Etuk. Sir, you're welcome. Please, let's keep the applause going. That is Mr. Brian Etuk, the Director of Public Affairs Department of the Nigerian Film Corporation. Himself and Madam Barrister Juliet Okonkwo will be midwifing this discussion panel on the theme one more time, film as a national asset. Film as a national asset. So, sir, you can take your seat here. We appreciate having you. I'll now hand over the microphone to Mr. Brian Etuk. He would provide us with a structure of how this discussion would proceed from here. Sir.
Just a minute. Okay, thank you very much, Mecca, for the wonderful introduction, and we are pleased to have this wonderful, vibrant, and knowledgeable discussions to take us through the topic which has been shared, and that is film as a national asset. We now know that film, apart from being a business, has become a tool for international diplomacy. And we have so many activities within that understanding. So what we want to do is particularly to evaluate our own scenario, especially from the African content, whether or not we have been able to actually use film as a tool for international diplomacy, and whether film is indeed has been elevated to the point that we will call it a national asset. And if it hasn't, what we should do to put it in that space. So I want to believe that all of us have various ideas, experiences to share, and we believe that at the end of the day, we would have identified the opportunities and the gaps, closed the gaps, then the opportunities we harness and explore them. So that's how the conversation is going to go. And we'll be interchanging with Mrs. Okonkwo. So we would like maybe another mic, if we have a spare mic. The one this time I'm holding. Okay, yeah. So that's how it's going to go. So maybe Mr. Okonkwo, you have anything to say before we just, yeah. No, if you have, do you have? Okay, fine. No, she's speaking. I want her to just speak. At least let's say her voice as
Okay.
another moderator. We are moderating this because one of the things we are trying to do with the festival is to also situate the festival as a gateway, to speaking to the international audience and Nigerian audience as well on what film can become. So that's why we have us trying to make sure that we have this conversation actually on track. That's why you see me and Mrs. Okonkwo. She is the head of legal services. And, everything we do has some legal undertone. So, Mrs. Okonkwo, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brian, and I'm happy to be here. I also like the panel sitting here, and I know they're going to do a lot of justice to this topic, film as a national asset, which it is. Thank you so much. I don't know, Mr. Brian could ask a person to kickstart. If you ask me, I'll ask a lady, so you rather just start.
Well, since we are in Nigeria, we're in Abuja, let's start from home. Then maybe we'll draw inspiration from the other African countries. Let's see. We are supposed to have Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert is the curator of the Cameroonian International Film Festival. Where is he? Oh, thank you very much. No, I think you should be here, if you don't mind, please. Can we have a seat? Let him join us. Mr. Gilbert, please. Thank you for coming. We appreciate your coming. He was supposed to be here since the beginning of the festival, but flight issues, he couldn't connect. We're trying to get him to connect from Yaoundé to Uyo directly. He couldn't. We're trying to get him to come to, maybe we'll just fix. We're trying to get him to come to Lagos. He couldn't direct. But I think we were told that he had to finally land in, is it Benin Republic or is it Cotonou or where? But the first point was that he was just supposed to just leave Yaoundé and land in Uyo and then be in Abuja. But thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Thank you for coming. So that is where we are. To set the ball rolling, the topic has been mentioned, so I would like to call on Mr. Ejike Asiebu. I mean, he's a veteran. We know when he, launched into the industry. You heard what he said yesterday, NTA journey, and then other journeys, and then we are here. So, Mr. Ejike, if somebody sees you somewhere and asks you, is Nollywood really a national asset to the Nigerian film or to the Nigerian state? What will be your comments?
Yeah, thank you very much. For me, I want to say thank you to the MD of Nigerian Film Corporation for inviting me and for members of the jury of the Zuma International Film Festival. It's a great honor for us to serve and also to be on this panel, distinguished panel of great women and men of timber and caliber. My brother Obi Omelonye has done quite a great job and have been in the business of projecting our image right from the UK and also globally. So having said that, Nollywood, of course, we all know the history of Nollywood, and for some of us who started quite early, it predates in the late 70s, 79, 80. People forget that Nollywood, of course, is just the name, which we have now assumed for the motion picture industry in Nigeria. And Nollywood, we had a cinema industry, of course, back in the days when we were shooting on raw stocks and before, of course, the coming of Nollywood. Having said that, I belong to both worlds, both the NTA and also to the present Nollywood sector. We have been able, of course, we know the power of film, industry in every nation. Today we know America, how America came to be. America was, it's through cinema, it's through film that people began to understand the power of film. And because of what they do, because of the films they acted, they told their story. They told their story as an economic force, and also they began as soft power and migrated to being the giant of the world. And of course, the first policeman of the world, and which every other person goes to. But film was what they used. It was cinema. Through most of their action films, they began to tell their stories. They are the best army. They are the best in entertainment. They were using the process of the film to also push out to the world. And whatever narrative they push out, people believe it. Therefore, we cannot overemphasize what Nollywood has done. But there are people before Nollywood. Of course, it is a generational field, because when we talk about men of yesteryears who have done so much in film industry before the advent of Nollywood, which just came. Nollywood is the name now for motion picture industry in Nigeria. 1992, and one of the most successful films, not because films have not been shot. Films have been shot many years before that time. But for me, I think when people now began to take us seriously was the way living in bondage was marketed. Because if you ask the ordinary American or ask people who are living in diaspora, a lot of people still felt, and some people still feel we live in the Stone Age, particularly Africans. But through our film, it has become a national asset in the sense that people now watch and identify what we do, our stories are being told, our culture is acceptable, and we've used it as a tool of cultural diplomacy. And living in bondage opened the eyes of so many people. Why? Because for the first time, we were able to bring about the razzmatazz involved in motion picture industry. And stories were told. You know, I want to align this to film, storytelling, and of course, as soft power, and equally as an economic force. Therefore, it has become a national asset. And at a time and at a period, at a season in the life of Nigeria, when Nigeria was not a near or a go place. We were called all kinds of names. They say we are 419ers and all kinds of sundry names. It was film. It was motion picture industry that changed that narrative. And people began to also see the other aspects of who we are as a people. Both culturally, they began to identify with our rich cultural heritage. And they also began to take us seriously. And I can tell you, I have been to, by the grace of God, South Africans love our movies. They can identify a lot of our culture. They also mimic some of the films we have done. And they are able to say, this character, what about this? So every Nigerian now, and Nigeria has become proud. And they identify with who we are as a people. And these are the powers of what film is. And also, it has become a national asset. And we had men of yesteryears who have been able to, do so much that has made us now to improve on what we are doing. There's no gainsaying that in film business, filmmaking is a national asset and has been able, in terms of, if you look and listen to what has happened over time, over the years, each year we keep improving as the second largest film-making industry in the world. And that has resonated both in terms of naira and kobo and dollars. So if you check those statistics, you find out that every other year, it runs into, as an economic force, it runs into billions that is generated that comes into the economy of Nigeria. Let me stop here for now so that my colleagues will as well talk.
Okay, as a follow-up question, maybe before Mr. Konko comes in, let us also situate this conversation within one, because what we are talking about is film as a national asset. Now, we look at it from the economic point of view, then we look at it again from the cultural significance, and then we look at it from policy and regulation. How has film shaped our national consciousness, our lifestyle? What are we doing? And then we now look at the industry development, because if film as itself is being produced by people, then that sector itself also needs to be encouraged to stand right in doing their jobs. So maybe before Mr. Okonkwo come in, I would like to come to Obi. From your international engagements, how would you now see Nollywood? Are we really, within what I've just enumerated, how far have we gone and what are those issues that have kept us where we are?
Thank you very much, sir. Let me mimic Ejike Asebo's voice. We are... I think film has always been an asset for Nigeria. I would say on an unofficial level and also at an official level, and I would make the distinction between the two. Unofficially, film has become Nigeria's greatest PR. I make films in other African countries. The Mirror Boy was shot in the Gambia. I shot in Freetown last year. My film in the cinema, Safari, was shot in Kenya. And when you visit those places, what you see, and when you interact with people in those places, they see Nigeria not through our embassy or through the consulate. They see Nigeria through our films. And the films, in spite of their, relative quality issues, stand out for them because they really appreciate the Nigerian entrepreneurship. They are go get it done attitude. And that becomes the biggest advert for the country. But then on the official level, Nigeria is yet to, for want of a better word, weaponize film as an asset. And I think that would happen when there is a conscious, strategic deployment of film as a means of representing the cultural identity. So in order to really maximize the value of film as a national asset, Nigeria has to start to use that asset. And to use that asset, it needs to make film from a policy level a national cinema. So there's something called national cinema where a country consciously, deliberately makes film, gives its national film an identity. For example, France. For example, India and China. If Nigeria does that, then it can start to, on an official level, maximize the potential of Nollywood as a national asset.
Would you be saying that the government should commission film projects that speak to national identity? Is that what you're saying? Outside of what the private, filmmaker is doing?
Not necessarily. They don't have to get involved with filmmaking.
No, to commission
But
doesn't mean that they have to be part of it. I mean, to commission, there are so many ways of commissioning.
Commissioning would help because the more we make those films, the better we'll be at it. So that's a developmental asset for the country. But what I'm speaking to is more of having an overarching policy that encourages film and particular films as a national asset. So it's called national cinema, and national cinema was started in countries like where's this guy, Che Guevara, Bolivia, and those places. So they use cinema that has an identity and curate those stories by commissioning films, or you can encourage the Censors Board or Film Commission to find a way to encourage films of a particular taste. You now start to use those films in a concerted way to progress and benefit the image of the country commercially, was the word, diplomatically and otherwise.
Mr. Okonkwo, please.
Yes, thank you so much. I would like to start from my neighbor. In fact, actually, we are neighbors. I was surprised that all the way he had to go just to cross over to his neighbor's place. So it's possible we are also very different. So having listened to our own stories, where we have gotten it right and where we are going to, we would like to share I would like you to share your own story. Has Cameroon been able to use its film as a national asset?
Thank you, everybody. Gilbert Ebod. By right, I should have a Nigerian nationality because my mother is from Cross River. But I come from a country that does not recognize dual nationality, so I am stuck with just being a Cameroonian. And film, for me, was just a passion that drove me mad. And people like Uncle Ejike Ashegbo, Zach Oji, Fred Amata helped me in my early days when I came to Nigeria, to Lagos, to want to join the Nollywood. I had to choose to become a member of the Producers Guild or National. And fast forward, I did my first film in 2005, during when brotherly nations had a dispute over the Bakassi Peninsula. And at that time, I invited Uncle Olu Jacobs, Zach Oji, Dakore Ebuson, and Fred Amata to Cameroon for us to do a film that has to do with reconciliation and love. The title is Before the Sunrise. And in this movie, we shot at the residence of the Consulate General of Nigeria in Cameroon. And the film helped in contributing in the 2008 peace process to resolving the Bakassi issue when President Obasanjo invited us to Aso Rock as members of the entertainment industry who have actually shown light to bring in Nigerians and Cameroonians on the same set to do a film, and we exhibited love and respect for each other. That's to say, the film industry has the potential to rewrite African unity and living together among Africans. It is very important that you all understand it's just 58 minutes of flight time from here to Yaoundé, but trying to get to Abuja, I had to leave Yaoundé to Equatorial Guinea, from Equatorial Guinea to Lomé in Togo, from Togo to Abuja. So leaving Cameroon at 9 a.m. and getting to Abuja at 5:50, you have to understand that a strong role beyond the African boundaries. When I travel to Brazil and other places, people identify Africans as Nollywood filmmakers. Nollywood has been a beacon of hope for so many African nations and film enthusiasts who believe that creativity has a role to play. Nollywood has given my community that has been hit by an armed conflict for the past 8 years a sole hope direction for which people, young people, can continuously do films. And through Nollywood, we were able to get our films on Amazon Prime, with Biola Alabi helping us, and with Wangimba Uzo opening the doors for African Magic to start receiving our films. And also with Madame Choma Ude, who encouraged the process alongside Ramsey Noah for us to create the Cameroon International Film Festival, which we are going to have our 10th anniversary next year in April. In all this, I'm giving this brief narrative or narration so you understand the potential and the strength of the creative industry, particularly the film sector, and what Nollywood stands in Africa. Without Nollywood, Africans will not pride themselves as people who can create content and project films and promote the social cultural identity of the African people. So, thank you.
You want to clap? Just clap. Yes. Nollywood.
Has become and will remain a force to reckon with. The only thing that is now a problem is the lack of distribution, which is affecting the entire industry. That initiative like the Zuma Festival brings us closer for us to understand and mitigate ways to resolving some of these challenges. But I believe strongly that without Nollywood pushing me to become a filmmaker, we would not have been our voice to help resolve the problem between Cameroon and Nigeria during the Bakassi crisis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let me come to, okay, Cameroon, okay, but I don't know why, so why did you choose Cameroon? And you are talking about Nigerian stars in your movies and your projects, but you decided to stay in Cameroon. Anyway, we'll come to that. Let me come to her. After the struggle in South Africa, we had musicians, may his soul rest in peace, like Lucky Dube, who used music to change the narrative, and then guide South Africa to where we are today. We want you to tell us how the film industry there has shaped, the South Africa that we now see against what we used to know.
Hi everyone, thank you for this opportunity. For me, film is, I call it show and do not tell me. So when you address issues as like what was happening back then and now, we show our stories and do not just tell or write. Now while I'm listening to the panel while they speak, in my mind I'm thinking about the GBV that is happening in South Africa, right? It's a big issue and we're crying for it to be a national disaster. But I feel like for us to end that abuse from men that we are encountering in SA, we need to change the narrative in the film industry. We need to talk to men and let's show them love, because I feel like that's one thing that they lack. So that will be effective in our country and nationwide if we focus on social issues, economic force. We should just be, I love the theme of this Zuma Festival, soft power. We talk to each other. Softly, we instill that love from our people, men and women, because it has that effect. If we do not show the love that we have in Africa, and okay, I was part of the jury in Limpopo. It's a provincial festival. While we were watching the films, I noticed a lot of films they were crying about this GBV. Oh, I was raped. Oh, men are abusing me. And if we get a good film talking about that, and then it gets to be shown internationally, what is it that we're saying about South African men, African men? Do they not love women? What are they doing to us? So we need to practice love in our films and be intentional about it. We need to have that effect that will make our film be an asset. We need to practice more positive things, address those issues, so that when we go international, we know that we are showing a good African. We have a beautiful country. We are rich in culture, different of us. If we focus on distribution, the whole of continent that focuses on African continent, showing our culture, expressing love, that will be an asset for me. And also, and, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. If we understood you properly, your assets in terms of the South African film industry is brotherliness, love, coming together, and that's what you are preaching. So that is what your film industry is seemingly trying to promote as a brand and then as an identity, as an asset for South Africa. That is what you are trying to tell us, that the South African community, everybody in South Africa is looking at film to reshape, the way people see South Africans, the way South Africans see themselves. And then once that is achieved, you will have a more holistic, industry that now speaks to economic issues, speak to cultural issues, and speak to humanitarian issues. Thank you very much. I will come to Mr. Kenneth Young. I think he has so much of experience. His films has resonated across the globe, and I would like him to just tell us, his experience. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, can you hear me? I want to use this mic.
Yeah, maybe you need to carry it up a little bit. Just lift it up. It's not wired. You just put it on your laps. Anyway.
Oh. Can you hear me, please?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I've heard the first speakers. What I actually want to say about film is that for you to discuss film as a national asset, like how I want to approach it is, I want us to just look at how film got to Africa in the first place, because when you look at the first films that we actually had in Africa, these were films that were brought in by the colonialists for a particular reason. And what they actually said at the time, some of the things, because I know in Nigeria there was actually, that's actually how the Film Corporation started as well. I know this like in Ghana and a couple of other African countries. And the thing about it is that there's a particular way that Africans were looked at. And so they also felt that when they bring complicated films, Africans will not understand it. And I remember that there's actually one of those reports, I think either maybe in Zimbabwe, where when one of those films was actually shown, people started, because then it was just like, films that, you come and watch it in groups, like the cinemas, and then people will tell you about maybe how to bath or how to do this particular thing, very, very basic things. Those were the sort of films that were set up, during the colonial times. But, when I look at film as Pan-African, you have to see that film becomes a national asset when countries start thinking about it in a very, very conscious way. So when you look at the concept of Pan-Africanism, and of course I know that there's a lot of funding from maybe from France, for Francophone countries, and how they make those films, but when you look at the works of maybe people like Ousmane Sembène and Gaston Kabori, all of these are very famous African filmmakers, and to some extent, even in Nigeria, Ola Balogun, there was a time where filmmakers started feeling that they need to actually have a voice, and those people, because they've gone to school, they really studied the sort of like adverse effects of not having a voice, right? They try to pressure the government in a way that the government has to be very deliberate in how they approach this film, which is what Dr. Obi was talking about, national film. Like, you have to have like national cinema. And of course, that whole concept again was really pushed by, the third cinema in South America, because the film is not about making a perfect film. When Nollywood started, people said that a lot of, I was critical of the industry as well, but a lot of people were critical of the industry based on characters, based on the technicalities. But the thing about it is that there's something called like militant cinema. Just tell your story. It doesn't matter. And I know that people that we look up to, people like Ousmane Sembène, there was a time that he said that because he sees that it takes a very long time to get funding from France to actually make a film. But then how can Africans be able to tell their own story? And I think like one of the key things that he said was that it doesn't really matter. And he was also very gracious about Nollywood. It doesn't really matter. It's about how you actually tell that story. But then how do you actually push a story, film, and make it a national asset? You're looking at setting up film commissions. And I think like in one of the reports that I read some years ago, maybe 2021, we have only 45 maybe film commissions in Africa. In Africa, in South Africa, for example, I'm going to use an example. There's like, I mean, the Cape Film Commission, right? You're also going to move towards like, I mean, is it like, I mean, I don't know, like KwaZulu Natal and all of that. Like, there's all of this, exactly. There's all of this like as in film commissions. This is a very deliberate thing where government actually has a national policy, and they are trying to just like, I mean, encourage filmmakers to be, you know, like, whether it's like in services, whether it's like in tax rebates and all of this, so that filmmakers can be able to make a particular kind of film. Before we came on stage, we were having a conversation with like, I mean, Dr. Obi and Abdul Karim, and we're basically talking about like the sort of like problems that we have right now in distribution in Nigeria. But what is it that the government is actually doing to just like, I mean, push to make sure that when it comes to like, I mean, international diplomacy and like, I mean, soft power, we always love to talk about soft power. What is soft power when there's actually no support for like, I mean, the filmmakers itself? So for me, when you look at a film like maybe District 9. District 9 was made in South Africa, I mean, some years ago. It actually brought in a lot of international race between Nigeria and South Africa. And why? Because, like, I mean, the biggest crime lord there was actually named Obasanjo, right? He was named Obasanjo, and Nigeria, and Obasanjo then was our president. And Nigerians actually took, like, I mean, exception, I mean, to this. So you see, but in terms of, like, I mean, response, like, I mean, what does Nigeria do? You know, you just, like, maybe come and just like, I mean, talk about it, but there has to be deliberate, I mean, efforts. We have the Film Corporation in Nigeria, but then also if I want to go and shoot maybe like, I mean, Oyo now, there's no film commission that's actually going to help me with anything. There's no film commission in Jos, there's no film commission anywhere, right? But these are the key things that actually help to push film as a sort of like as a national asset. For me, I've seen how far films can travel. With Oloture, when I made it for Netflix, and it became such a splash, and people started talking about trafficking of women and all of that. That for me is also like sort of like an unconscious way of bringing this sort of like a topic to limelight that people can actually have conversations. So generally, we have lots of stories. And I remember that for us, for film to actually have a sort of, to become a national asset in Africa, there has to be a sort of like a deliberate effort. I remember the days of like Professor Walu Shoyinka and, you know, Ngugi wa Thiong'o. There was something called tigritude and negritude, which is basically a sort of like as a philosophy about like, I mean, what sort of stories, I mean, where should we actually just like, I mean, stand in all of that. So for people to be able, for filmmakers to be able to make the sort of films, there has to be key things that need to be in place. What are the rebates that you give filmmakers? Now we talk about when you go to shoot in Morocco, there's maybe like 25% or 30% like a rebate to film. That's a deliberate effort. And that's actually why you see in some of these countries, the way the output of their films are very, very different. And so for me, I think like, I mean, generally, pushing film as an asset, we need to think of like as a film commission, we need to think of like, I mean, all the like subtle ways we can support filmmakers. It's not generally just like giving filmmakers money, but then it's about that. And I remember that in NFI, there was a book that was written called Towards a National Policy, right? Does Nigeria still have a national policy, film policy? I do not actually know. I don't actually think so, like, I mean, at the moment. But there was a book since written in 1992, I think, towards a film policy, right? I mean, in Nigeria. But Pan-African-wise, you could see that there are countries that deliberately, they are putting that forward. But because Zuma, this is a Zuma International Film Festival, so I want us to also just like, I mean, I want to just like bring it in a way that we have to just like see other.
Very much. Hello. Thank you very much. Your insightful contributions, and apparently because you told us that you couldn't join us until today, I think we had this conversation about 2 days ago. Some key points that you've raised, you know, especially in the area of this national cinema stuff, and we had said that, you know, film is on the concurrent list, so we should make sure that even local governments can even have their own commission. So if local governments can have their own commissions and attract film productions to those localities, it is most likely that from script to screen, they can remain within that locality and then be an asset. All of it, cultural, economic, all of it within that space. And I think we agreed that that is the way to go. We don't need to have just one national film commission as it is.
No.
So many. The more the merrier. And I think if we are able to go that way, what Doctor was saying, we will have what we call a national cinema, and then people naturally will fall into it. Thank you very much. Mr. Kunko, maybe you...
In the discussion, Kenneth mentioned that he had been speaking with Abdul Karim.
Yeah.
So I would have, I'd like Abdul Karim, in case there are certain of the discussions he missed.
that we don't know.
He probably might have missed some. So in that discussion behind us,
Yes.
Can the audience have the
Let them hear it.
Let them hear it. Let's hear from the horse's mouth now. Yeah, exactly.
Your question isn't very clear.
No, you are not a horse, but we want to hear from you. Kenneth said he's been having some discussions before we came on stage.
And just to set the record straight, Kenneth doesn't leave anything behind. He's very meticulous. So I think what the little I have to add to this, because there's so many really, really good, solid points made before the mic was handed to me, is, and I'll use a small anecdote, as journalists usually do. When I was introduced, I was like, oh, what's a film journalist, you know? Okay. Then Brian walks in, I went, you know, there's just this, everyone is wondering, what is a film journalist? So here's the thing, to add to everything that everyone's been saying, the value that a film journalist has to all of this is that you need these things, all these ideas put out there. What my big brother here, AGK, said, you know, earlier, his very, very solid points about how the US and other countries utilize film to project their nations. How else can you do it if not through the media, through journalists who understand film, journalists who live, breathe, eat, drink film, right? And there are many like that, but unfortunately over here, you know, we're always, the government is the whipping boy. But even the practitioners, a lot of them do not understand the importance of the media. I'm just fortunate to say that almost every one of the people I know here personally are not in that category. Let me give you an example. All around the world, I'm invited for film festivals as a judge, as a participant, just even as a guest. I have to turn down many. Why? That simple reason that they need their message, you know, spread around the world. They need their message spread maybe through the lens of a Nigerian journalist, maybe. There's so many reasons, but over here we tend to just look at it as, oh, they're just here to cover this thing. At most, maybe do a red carpet thing, but no, journalists, if their specialization is film, they understand the structure of film, even the marketing of film, the art of film, you know, production, everything, every aspect, and they can add to it and sensitize the public, including government. Policymakers might not even know anything, the first thing about film. But if they read about it, they will be educated. So I think there's also this ghettoization of journalists from the larger film industry. I mean, I haven't faced it, but I see it happening to others. That I think needs to be addressed. Partner with journalists, partner with the media. You need your work, your art out there. And that's the best way to do it. So these days, there might be a small shift from traditional media like newspapers or TV. There's streaming, there's social media. Partner with influencers. You know, influencers are journalists, so I don't know why people even call them influencers. One of my proteges, I'm very proud of, his name is Ike God Chielo. Look him up on Instagram. Solid young man. He just got to South Africa this morning. He's been invited for the TikTok Awards. He's been nominated. And I strongly believe he's going to win. This young man, just his zeal, his passion for film. He also touches on literature, you know, and other things like that, but mostly film. Just his camera in his living room, that's how he started. And look at him today. TikTok Awards, I'm sure it comes with some money. Even if it doesn't, there's some sort of like validation that the world sees what you're doing from your living room in Abuja and they're appreciating it. And even filmmakers, I'm not going to mention names, not because it's anything bad, because, you know, this is not a list. Filmmakers, solid filmmakers, reach out to him. They partner with him when their movie is being released, even on streamers. And then we can't say that that cannot have a positive effect on their product, right? So there are all these opportunities for synergy, for collaboration that I think is wasted. We're chasing the wrong way. We're following the guy with journalists and the media, and then we can now truly achieve that thing that we want, for film to become a national asset that is a very valuable one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we come to Gloria. Was it yesterday you told us that you're having a film project between Nigeria and Rwanda? And I want to believe that if... Okay, you are directing. Oh, lovely. We have two people on it.
That's a good one.
So if possibly they didn't see how Nollywood has traveled or has become, I don't believe they would have come to give you that handshake that, okay, come, let's do it together. So what are you telling them? What did they see?
Well, they saw how I am very conscious in using tool as a tool for positive behavioral change. When you're looking at film as an asset, it's only seen as an asset when you see it as one, just as my colleagues have said. Well, from the filmmaker's point of view, if we see it as an asset, we become conscious of the content we put in, right from the script. Growing up, we always felt the American flag was something huge. And even today, those in the Asian countries or UAE would burn the American flag. Why? Because they feel it's going to hurt the American. Why? Because every movie we saw, the American flag was respected. What are we respecting in our films? We're constantly showing stories of wicked, evil mother-in-laws. And most of the nurses that go over abroad and they're trying to eat, you find out that our caregiver Nigerian nurses, nobody wants to eat near them or put their food near them because they feel it's going to be poisoned. That's what we have branded. We've branded that men, young men, that cannot make it big in this world except through internet fraud or Yahoo or joining a bad gang. That's what our movies are branding. We're also branding that beautiful, fair ladies like me will poison you if you betray us. Well, I can't say much about that. But the thing is, we can see it as an asset and start using our films as promote our culture, as a tool for positioning, for branding. We can look at shooting in locations where there are tourist sites that we could use to lure in tourism. We could also make educational, historical films, films about how certain states and achievements were made in Nigeria. Also coming to the government, it can only see film as an asset when it tends to tap into how important and useful we are as a tool. If it looks at us as a means of educational or economic development, where we can actually affect other industries. For example, we affect tourism, we affect food, we affect hotels, we affect transportation, fashion industry, all from the movie industry. So that is a great asset to tap into. Even corporate bodies need to start looking at us as a great means of return on investment if they invest wisely into film industry. We also need to look at the legal aspect. You did mention that at the beginning. I just finished a course with the World International Property Rights Organization, WIPO, and we're looking at patents and rights of the creative industry. How many creative entertainment lawyers do we have today? Very few. And when we're looking at in the industry or even on the crew itself, from the script writer, they have a right to the distribution, to the TV broadcasting rights, to the music, the sound score and the soundtracks used in the film. All these need to be documented and written. So if we are not taking ourselves seriously, we cannot be viewed as an asset. We cannot be taken seriously as an industry.
Well, thank you very much. Can you increase the volume of this mic that I'm speaking through? Thank you. What you are doing with Rwanda is quite, exciting and is good. Rwanda has just come out from some serious civil war, and I know that the president his team, they are trying to rebrand that country, and try to heal. And what they're trying to do is also open the space, because they feel that the healing should not just be limited to internal, people. They have to open the space and have international handshakes and all of that. That is why I believe that they try to make sure that you are there. We have some Nigerians who have also worked in Rwanda before. We have, I think, 2 ex-NFI students, who worked in Rwanda before now. Yeah, so, and then they have a film commission that is in the offing, and they are doing well. So we appreciate the good representation that you are, taking us through that side of the globe. Thank you very much. Or you want to say something else? I thought you picked your mic. Did you want to say something?
I don't know. Okay. I was saying there's a film hub in Rwanda, by the Nigerian embassy also. So it's possible to come over and make a film in Rwanda. And you can also have discounts on your transportation if you use Rwanda Air. And it's important for us to start making African movies told by Africans ourselves. I mean, look at all the African stories out there. It's huge to see Wakanda, but it's not told by Africans. And so you have different names and different cultures that do not really represent us. And so it's important we start telling our own stories together as Africans. And you're talking about the genocide in the Tutsi and the Hutsi. Well, we also have had lots of IDP camps, and there's a lot of trauma in Nigeria too. So we do have shared trauma and shared things, history that we can come out of. However, it's important to talk about resilience. I was training female journalists in Nigeria a few months ago, and I was teaching them that it's important for us to show women and children in a light that will promote catastrophe or IDP camps, and all they are showing is women by the side crying with children, feeling helpless. If they covered a woman standing up through the rubbles and picking up some of the things that she can ravage from the disaster, that shows resilience, something as little as that. So conscious content all the way.
Thank you. I think we've all had the first shot, so maybe we'll go one more time. So I'll come back to Mr. Ejike Asiebu. He went for the mic. I don't know what is beating in his chest.
Yeah, basically, I wanted to ask Madam a question, because there was something she was saying about, I wanted to be in the same alignment with her terrain of thought.
Go ahead.
Basically, about our movie making.
Go ahead, sir.
And you, Madam, you talked about what some people see outside in terms of poison or food and all that. Yeah, filmmaking, you tell stories. Why I'm not altogether in agreement with the sort of stories that were told. There are other aspects of film that people have not bothered themselves to look at, to take the very good narratives. We talk about our culture, the ways and the lives of the people, the dance, the marriages, intermarriages, and there are so many positives in Nollywood. But some people choose to ignore that and just look at either a Patience Ozokwo and stereotype her, and say because she's always killing somebody or poisoning somebody, and that is the one that goes for them. Yeah. But I differ. As a filmmaker, we have the license to tell our stories, and most times people also forget that these stories that are being told, some are believable. It could happen, while some are true life stories. And you leave the audience to begin to imagine what happens most. But what we appreciate is the fact that Rwanda has come out of so much. The story and history of Tutsis and the Tutsis and the Hutus, exactly. We need to have a lot of collaboration. They have, no doubt, good actors in our film stories. Yes, and that's why my colleagues have mentioned the issue about on policy. We need government to, why not checkmating them, but provide enabling environment. And also, what people preach is to always put your country first, and project those good values of the country. Yes, but also remember that the filmmaker is at liberty to also say some things that are not right in the society. You understand me?
Oh, yes.
So let's leave and not bother ourselves with some of those ones, and it becomes a recurring decimal. It is how those films, those stories are told to teach. It is didactic. It is educative that we have to learn about some of those things that happen in those movies. So I want you to also know that there are thousands, and I want to commend. Now we have new. I'm not part of the new Nollywood or your old Nollywood. We are all filmmakers, and stories have been told, wonderful stories that has projected the image of this country that I can tell you that can win Oscars. But look at Safari, for example. I just watched Safari. It's a wonderful movie. Movie making by Obi Melonia. Yes. And we have also,
very.
what do you call it? Black Book. How many of you have watched Black Book? By Edith F. Young. These are all international standards. And also Finding Messiah. How many of you have watched some snippets of Finding Messiah? These are movies that resonate. What about Kemi Adetoba's movie? And we have a lot of our brothers here in the North. There are movies that stand the test of time. Culturally, value-wise, that people can identify with. But however, like she has said and our colleagues have said, we cannot do this without the role of the media. Both in initiating and projecting and working together as partners to ensure that we let the government know they need to create an enabling environment. Our brother here has also talked about the national policy. It is key. If we do not have the right one, luckily for me, we have always enunciated this in several years. This is my 44 years in this industry as a filmmaker. And we try as much as possible. Yeah, when I say 44 years, a lot of people think I started quite young. From NTA. I was 17, I was in IMT Enugu. And that is still film and television. Anambra Broadcasting Service. Even before I went to study theaters in the University of Port Harcourt. So we have been shooting. New Masquerade, Bassi and Company, and so many other soaps that I have been involved in. And what is the central message? We are still in the business of projecting our rich cultural heritage. And talking about South Africa, yes, I have been there. I remember in 1997, 98, we had sought to attend the South African International Film Festival. Sitengi, we were amongst the people that, tried to reach out. And you look at where we are coming from as an industry, from our days of VHS to Betacam, and then things have improved. And I thank God for the new generation. I thank God for the spasm of enthusiasm of these young filmmakers who have come here. I thank God for the young women. Before, you hardly find women who are filmmakers. But right now we have solid directors, solid producers who are all women who have also carved a niche for themselves. So we will continue to do our best. And however, these policies need to be right. And because most times you find out, I'm sure if you ask Obi Emelonye, he will tell you some of the things he went through while shooting some of his movies. You have to beg the police, you have to beg the army, or you use your own uniform. They will arrest the artist for using those uniforms. Whereas what you are doing is to promote also our various policies using them. What about the aircrafts? But in America, they give you all that. In some of the countries, they provide it free of charge. You don't need to pay a lot of money. You don't need to even pay any money for all those things. Let's see ourselves as collaborators. Let me stop here for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I think one of the takeaways is that we should design a policy framework that will drive the film industry as truly a national asset. There are pockets of initiatives within what we have, in fact, what the corporation has also tried to push. But I think maybe we need to come out with a policy document that the immigration, the army, the police, the airport operators, airline operators, hotel operators, we will try to identify their roles within that space, and then we ascribe those roles to them. Because like you said, maybe by the time you approach them, they'll tell you, no, they don't know anything, they can't. But if they are all equal stakeholders in the project, and then they have a policy document with them, I don't think they'll be able to run away from it. I think so. If we have to elevate film and make it a national asset, this is one key area that we need to look at. And I think that's one of the takeaways from this festival. So where do we start from? Mrs. Okonkwo, can you? So maybe they take their last contributions. Let's hear.
Okay, should it be the last now?
Well, if we
If
let's
there's
go
no
around.
time,
Let's go
one more time.
Yes.
Okay, I would like to start with our South African. Oftentimes we compare. We're asked if you go to do film studies. We're asked to compare the film in Nigeria, the film that's Nollywood now. If you want to compare Nollywood with South African film industry, okay, now I'd like you to just give us a paper as to what does your government do? Like they've mentioned here in Nigeria, they've told us a lot that we are not doing, or rather, that government needs to do. Can you just, well, let's share with us what South African government does to. Okay, you can say people are enjoying.
Well, they're enjoying. Okay, please, before she tells us that,
Okay.
Nigeria is Nollywood. What do they call your industry? Does it have any name, any wood, or any leg, or any cutlass, or anything? What do you call yours? Oh, you call it just South African cinema. Okay, fine.
For me, I'm an emerging filmmaker. I don't have that much experience. I studied film. I completed my studies in 2018, so I'm still learning my roots. And in South Africa, we have National Film and Video Foundation. I'm one of their beneficiaries. Yes. So they helped me develop my story. I just submitted a proposal. So they helped me develop my story and also funded me with production. So it's now complete through their help. So that's what our government is trying to uplift us as filmmakers. There are a lot of bodies whereby you can apply and they'll fund your project. Now I'm still gonna learn my roots with distribution because I need to distribute this film. So coming here at Zuma's, I got a great opportunity to learn about Nigerian filmmaking. So I'm taking that to South Africa and compare how distribution is gonna work for us in this side. What I would like for me, what I would like for Africa to have, I would love to have, let's say we have a digital, you guys call it African cinema, but we have something like Showmax, but whereby the app or platform that we create in Africa, it only showcases African films. There is no TV there, there's no music, just a platform where we can showcase films around the continent.
Thank you. That's one takeaway, so that we can elevate film as a national asset. So you want a dedicated platform that only African films, or something like Netflix. But could those films also be shot, part of it, if the films are shot outside of the African continent, do they have opportunity of, being on those platforms?
Yes, but if it's an African filmmaker.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, Obi. I wanted to just let me use this opportunity to just make this intervention. My colleague here also mentioned the role that Obasanjo played. But because of history, in terms of what Nigeria has actually done with our brothers and sisters in South Africa, the story has been rewritten in terms of our father, Nelson Mandela. He was here in Nigeria. I'm sure probably you know about that. But what I find missing is my experience in South Africa since 1997, 98, 99, and up to date when I visit, because I was once in Cape Town. My family was there for over a year or two, then I had to bring them back. We need to work together. I'm sure this message should go to your family, because most times we hear about all these xenophobic attacks. It will not help our industry. We need to let our people, I know you will respond to that. We need to let our people, we need to need government. So much has to be done. Let's not see Nigerians as enemies. If it is because of one or few Nigerians who have soiled their hands, who through drug or whatever means, they should deal with those people independently and not to, use that and begin to think that Nigerians are a nation of drugs and take laws into their hands and begin to kill themselves. There is a law in Nigeria, and they must respect the laws of South Africa for those indigenes or those visitors who are living in South Africa. So they must find a way of finding those people who go against your laws and discipline them. Otherwise, all this will dovetail into hate. All this will dovetail into our inability to collaborate. We are Africans first and foremost. And the history, our collaborations and as brothers and sisters predates and comes a long way. Let's learn to live and let's learn to let go. We should not be ourselves enemies, because those things do not inhibit, those things actually inhibit progress. Do you understand me? Nigerians should be afraid to go to South Africa. South Africans will be afraid to come to Nigeria. They don't even believe that Nigerians have in any way contributed to whatever successes they're having. I thank God, Nigeria, film is a universal language. We should, in most of these our films, begin to teach our people. It is when they see some of these things that it will change their mindset, and most times we'll be able to live freely in the same environment. I just wanted to say that since you are here. Thank you.
Okay, before I wouldn't need you to respond. Just hold on. Let's take one more comment. Okay, Ken.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to do a follow-up to what Mr. Sibo said. I really understand what you're saying, and that for me has to do with what we're actually talking about. If we're going to just deal with film as a national asset, it's not just about Nigeria. It has to be like a Pan-African thing. And if we all have as in policies, the things that you're talking about, it means that at the level of productions and co-productions, we're all going to just understand each other. In concluding my conversation, I wanted to say that one of the key things that I would say about using film as a national asset, and also just boosting film as a national asset, it's not just film is not just for entertainment. There has to be deliberate effort. I know that people always talk about education, but I want to say that a couple of years ago, I was a juror at Durban International Film Festival, and I was just handling the student section. And I could see the films coming from to just bring in some of these African films to just compete. And the thing that we realized is that most of these films actually had a lot of support from their national governments. That is all part of as in how we can help to just push a particular type of cinema that is not just commercial, because what Gloria raised earlier is also talk about in the free policy of just filming commercial films, which is also just of course, if I'm using my money to make a film, I will just tell the sort of story that I want to tell. But if there's a deliberate effort that can just help direct the sort of my worldview, and also just help me make this film, I will think about how to push the African story, how to push the sort of soft power.
From that. So one thing that the government should really look into is a streaming distribution platform that would really help young ones, upcoming filmmakers, to make money from whatever little they have made, and also have the hope that when they get the big budget and make a big film, they are also going to make return on investment. Rwanda, I think I should become an ambassador for Rwanda. But Rwanda, because he just asked me if I'm from Rwanda. No, I'm from Isialangwa. So Rwanda is a great government that is actually working with other East African countries. And right now they have Stream East. It's a streaming platform for every movie made by every filmmaker, short films, documentary, feature films. As long as you're a filmmaker, you can put it on their platform, and it's paying in it's paying in dollars. So imagine everyone in East Africa, and right now I'm trying to bring it to Nigeria so that those films in Nigeria could also be put in there. But what about having our own Nigerian streaming platform or a West streaming platform? That's very important. And just to pick point on a little about the stories you were talking about, we studied psychology of film, and we know that if you put 80% of evil in a film, and then 10% or 5% of repentance and going to a church, is the 80% the people will take to their minds. It's the 80% that will influence the young minds. So we need to be conscious about what we're putting. Even though we have the liberty to tell our stories, it needs to promote positive behavioral changes, and the government needs to look for a distribution platform, because that's the greatest thing that the industry needs to become an asset or economic development scheme.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's start. Our brother from Cameroon.
Thank you again. I think everybody is trying to look for a solution to the current challenges we are facing, if not globally, Africa. And we can either borrow the good or the bad. And for my sister here, who is going to be doing a film in Rwanda with Professor Obi Emeloye, we are going to, with Professor Obi Emeloye here present, we are going to look at the possibilities of introducing actors from Cameroon so their profile can also be reviewed. I think this is part of the initiative projected by Zuma International Film Festival. We also have to look at what is working in other places in terms of, I heard about the East Stream. In Africa, every platform is dumped in Africa and there's no regulation. You go to China, they created TikTok, but TikTok is highly, highly regulated. And you go to the Western world platforms like YouTube.
That is regulated within their space?
Yes.
Or outside their space?
Within their space.
Okay.
Government?
Yes. So this also gives room for the industry to survive. Today, cinemas across Africa are shutting down. People are films. It's still not to the benefit of the industry because the industry is cinema. Now, in China, YouTube and other platforms are completely banned. You have to use a VPN to access some of those platforms. Even Netflix is banned in China. So they have just Chinese films that when they release the films, they go through the process of the cinema. When they leave the cinema, they go through the process of the cable TV. And when they leave the cable TV, they go through the process of whichever way you can access the film at your part that was reintroduced in Nigeria with people like Film One and Genesis Cinema, but gradually is dying because of excessive use of different platforms and access to different social media platforms that has reduced the interest to want to go out to want to watch films. So it's no longer an industry, it's just people creating content and actually misusing the internet to the disadvantage of the creative industry. Now, if you come to Cameroon, Cameroon used to be a country where every major city has a cinema. I'm not talking of the state. I'm talking of every major town in Cameroon has a cinema. But today, the cinemas have been shut down. And Kenneth, right? Yeah, Kenneth was talking about the French corporations and French organizations that gives fundings to produce films. They came up with an idea of La Coopération Française and Institut Français. These initiatives were not introduced to actually empower the African film industry, but the agenda was politically to tell stories that can reflect the interests of the French people and promote French language. because Hollywood had taken the center stage to promote the social, cultural heritage of the American people and actually put Hollywood at the center of national power. And through that, the Western world started fighting to want to be relevant also. If you look at Indian films, they had a pattern. And in India, for you to release a movie, before the movie is released, the music of that movie makes more money before the movie is released. So they create celebrities and generate funds from the film, the scores in the film before the film is released. But in Africa, we have lost our own pattern. And by so doing, today, people jump on YouTube to want to dump films on YouTube, like what my sister is saying, because there is no secondary way to want to, first of all, recover what you've invested. And you will not put money in a film and you cannot recover that money, and you expect the filmmaker to want to do another film. Is YouTube paying off immediately? No. YouTube is a long time process. For some of the people who are making money from YouTube today are films that have been there for more than 5 years. They have not been, it's not a film that you put today, the next day you start getting the money. But from the cinema structure, if your film is on the cinema, maybe through Film One or Genesis, at the end of the 2-3 months contract, they can come and do a review to say, okay, your film did this good, and this is a percentage that's going to the cinema, and this is a percentage that's coming to us. The censor board takes this percentage as is done in other countries. Now, we're looking at a situation where we can remedy the crisis we're facing. Because right now, most filmmakers are actually in my country, traveling abroad, to live abroad. I don't see myself traveling to go start doing Uber as a career, or start going to a nursing home to start taking care of old people as a career. I've been a trained filmmaker, and I have been producing films. I have 5 films to my credit. I should be in a position where the proceeds or the royalty of my films can sustain me even till my old age. But the structure in Cameroon is completely non-existent. And at a certain point, my former president came up with a concept to encourage film. You should understand that the first Tanzan was done in Cameroon. And that film generated more than $40 million. No incentive of that film was sent back to Cameroon. And when I went to Hollywood and I went to the Universal Picture, I told them, you can't do that. We have to look into this and revisit our partnership between the American film market and the Association of American, the Union of American Film Producers, to see how we can also benefit from what you have benefited from our community. So with that, they gave us the opportunity to start submitting Cameroonian films at the Oscars, because at that time we did not have the leverage to submit films at the Oscars. So with all of these, we need platforms like Zuma, we need platforms like Afrif, we need platforms like Sitengi, we need platforms like Fespaco, Ecran Noir, to discuss some of these challenges Africans are facing. It is also very important to note that the fact that Nigeria came up with the independent system of filmmaking, because even when they started, they were being insulted at a certain point by filmmakers who came from Mali, Burkina Faso, that they are doing home video. South Africa, in Egypt, that they are doing home video, but they are doing cinema films. So there was that stereotype, and it also affected the other small countries like mine, who pull back from when we go to film gatherings and we cannot speak because these people kept challenging us. And you had platforms like Afrikia, who gave money, a lot of money, to people like Tude Kelani and the rest, few people who benefited from those initiatives. But at the same time, it actually redirects the intentions and the argument for Africans to come together and continue doing films. And at a certain point, a lot of African nations became discouraged by trying to collaborate with Nigerians, because the demand and the process of getting a Nigerian to come and film in a brotherly country sometimes is neck-breaking. I need a business class, I'm coming with my manager, I'm traveling with my PA, and all of that. And when you look at some of those arguments that when you see Hollywood filmmakers, and you see them come for, you reach an agent of an actor, and you tell the agent, I'm inviting your actor to come for a movie set. They send the script, they approve the script, the actor flies to the set. But so there are so many arguments around some of the issues affecting the African film cinema, which, to be honest, Nigeria would have been the big brother to pull everybody along. And at a certain point, people started becoming skeptical how she's wanting to do a film in Nigeria. But I will tell you, you come to Cameroon, the French-speaking part of Cameroon, for you to do a movie is like passing Onkwe GK through an eye of a Negro, because it's neck-breaking. The Francophone system of filmmaking is completely abusive. You can be in the middle of a set, and just because you pan your camera to opposite direction to a resident of somebody who thinks is important, and the next minute you see the gendarmes and police come there to arrest everybody on that set, not knowing that you are a film producer who has taken authorization and who has paid money to shoot that film. So it is also important to understand that it is their culture. But when you come to the English-speaking part of Canada, the way the Kosa sound, the way the Kosa sound when you see people like my late brother and friend, the actor of
Sell a vehicle, they simply cancelled from their base. I call it drone investments, where they hover above the country and tap the resources of the country, and when they want to leave, when it doesn't suit them anymore, they leave. I think the Nigerian Film Commission, as an entity, should have a policy that helps protect the industry by making sure that whoever is coming in has to have a stated intention that is contained in an MOU, and there has to be restrictions to what they can do within and without. There has to be conditions for coming in and conditions for leaving. That way, we don't have the problem that we had in the industry, where all the inroads that we've made as a sector with cinema infrastructure were derailed when the streamers came in, and then the streamers are now holding us to ransom. I have a film in the cinema right now. It's not performing as I would like to, not because the infrastructure is no longer there, but because people have been given choice, and the choice that they have is one that we as an industry is not in control of. So I think protecting the industry is one of the most important aspects of the policy of creating a national cinema, so that money can be spent and films can be curated and policies can be enacted that would help protect the industry and move it forward. Otherwise, we'll become a dumping ground and we'll be run over by the bigger global industries and even companies. Thank you.
Okay, a quick one. Maybe in moving forward before that speak, maybe they could also speak to the issue. From the conversations we've had, in the past 5-10 minutes, we are having concerns between using the traditional cinema as a means of exhibition and the digital platforms for the streaming. And these two, we need them. So, but from what we are gathering here, maybe we have predominance, one killing the other. How should the two coexist?
I think there shouldn't be any hard and fast rule about how they coexist. I think the biggest challenge we have as an industry is ownership. That we do not own some of the factors of monetization. We mentioned names of streamers. The closest that we are to owning any of them is the South African one, what's it called? Showmax. That's the closest, as a Pan-Africanist. That's the closest we have. It means that all the other companies are going to make decisions that benefit their bottom line. They don't have a vested interest in Nigerian film industry working. They're just here to tap economic resources from the ecosystem. And once that ecosystem begins to have issues or they face one challenge, they wake up and they leave, especially when they have no roots. They can uproot themselves by just sending out a communique. They don't, like I said, the company that left Nigeria wasn't even in Nigeria in the first place. They were in Nigeria only by mouth. And all they had to do was send out a communique to say we're no longer in Africa, and that was it. Because they went in Africa in the first place, it was easy for them to do. So I think, there shouldn't be any hard and fast rules about which one should take each other. I think it's a case of a symbiotic relationship. You take from here and you take from here. You give some, you take some. But I think the important thing is that we have to own some of those factors of monetization. If we don't, we're just going to be pawns in the games of bigger global players.
Thank you. Kenneth, your party shots?
Okay, I was actually, when he was actually speaking, I think there are two things that jump at me. One should be that, we're talking about protection of the filmmakers, but then I don't know how many filmmakers here are even part of a society called AVRS, that's Audiovisual Rights Society of Nigeria. This like AVRS, and then AVRS is under CISAC. That's what Gloria was mentioning too about like intellectual property. The thing about protecting filmmakers is, of course, creating the platform is there, but protecting even the IP policy. Because when you protect the IP policy, now we're just like discussing just like film distribution. What about the danger of AI? And what is AI doing? They take Obi Melonye's film, they take all the hard work, the 44 years that Mr. Ejike Osigo has put into the film industry, put it into a machine, and then it becomes like data. So now people can just say, oh, I just want to make a film in a village in Abia, and then you're going to actually have that. But then the people who have actually created all of these works from the beginning, they are not getting any sort of as in payment. And so for me, looking at film as national asset, it's not just like a Nigerian thing, it's like a Pan-African thing. African governments need to actually come together and work out how to protect, the filmmakers. Just like, the conversation around TikTok and how it's regulated in China, and of course a lot of other streamers as well, and all the films that are coming in. I know, the UK film industry, for instance, you have almost at the time that I know, last time I checked the data, that was a long time ago, almost 95% of the films shown in UK cinemas are from America. But you see, UK is like America. They have the sound stages and everything they can actually just use in making the film. We don't actually have that. So for us, yeah, everybody's just going to be dumping all of their things on us. So protecting the filmmaker, protecting, our IP policies, and then also just trying to see how the people who are putting the work, especially in the age of AI, can be compensated by some of these tech companies, because at the end of the day, all the money goes to the tech companies. So that protection is really, really needed. And yeah, in terms of even the films that we show in cinemas or on streaming, I think that if there's actually no even support for the distribution systems, I think you were mentioning today that a ticket, Ozi Abdul Karim, is almost 10,500 naira, right? How many people can afford to have 10,500 naira to go and actually watch a film? But then the streamers, the distributors themselves, exhibitors themselves will say that it is that expensive because rising cost of living, they have to pay taxes and all of that. So there has to be sort of something that exactly rebates that the government can just come in to help. And that for me, that's if the government is really serious about, seeing film as a national asset. If not, people are just going to do the sort of films that's just going to give them quick money, and it has no defined ideology that sells us as a people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Gloria? Okay.
Yeah, so I would just like to start from training. As low as training, we want to make something an asset. How good are we training the upcoming filmmakers to understand film as a business, to understand film as a tool for positive behavioral changes and national branding? Okay, and then we'll look at the borders to how easy is it to get the right equipment to shoot. And we want to embrace AI in as much as it has a negative part. AI can never replace, I was in a invited to the Bollywood conference on artificial intelligence and the rest, and people were so scared about in the next few years, creative industry will be wiped out because of the coming of AI. I think it's something we should embrace because AI can never replace all the prompts you see on the Instagram. You say, just tell me, AI, help me do a film on African story and do this and do that. It cannot replace our years of experience where we get to talk about differential focus and depth of field and the kind of costume and the kind of art departmental instructions you want to give AI that will make your own film unique. And directorial styles can never be replaced by an AI. So we want to embrace that. And so it comes from the training. When your filmmakers are good at what they do, embracing the new technology, embracing the legal aspect of the copyright laws and the rights for their movies, then you can have something worth projecting as an asset. Then you can protect it and you can find the best way to distribute it.
Thank you. I think we have just 3-4 minutes to the
Sorry,
end
I
of
just
the-
want to quickly say something about AI. I'm sorry, I need to just say quickly. The thing is that we all embrace AI. We all love AI. What we're talking about is the data sets, right? Because like the moment you keep on training the AI with like the sweat of like all the filmmakers, without the filmmakers getting anything in their pockets at the end of the day, the AI is going to become so intelligent that it can give you the same thing that you're actually talking about with costumes and production design and everything. But you have to actually just see, if it's not bad to use it, like we all use it, but the thing is about like compensating people. I think like Doc mentions like in places like France, and a lot of these countries actually protect their filmmakers, and there's also like revenue streams that actually come in, and every year, like from some of these places to the filmmakers. So yes, everybody is a win-win for everybody. But embracing it is fantastic. But protecting like African filmmakers, we have absolute no protection.
On royalties and
Especially
the rights.
as our law as it is does not protect.
Thank you, you are a lawyer,
AI.
exactly.
Yes. We want Ejika Sibu to do just a short wrap up. 40-something years of experience.
Anyway, we have just about 3 minutes.
Don't worry. When it gets to my time, Brian will censor it. Well, don't mind me. I think it's very, very important as well that the young filmmakers, you are learning from all that we are saying, and we encourage all the young filmmakers who are here. When we all started, film has to do with your patience. It has to do with your endurance, and you don't give up. I know the process of guerrilla filmmaking. There is hope for the industry, much as you are shooting with your own camera and your own space and creating your own world. I want you to not look back and seek how to also partner with some of the people you are seeing here. That is why you are here. We encourage you and tell you that the future is bright. But having said all this, I wanted to reply my friend. I am an actor, and a proud one too. Everything that you said about actors and collaborations when you invited them, how come as a producer, when you invite a Beyonce or you invite a top actor in America to come and collaborate with you, does he come alone? He doesn't. I'm not saying our people should not try and understand and partner with you, but they should explain. You can tell them to cut down in terms of the number of people they are coming with. But all those things are normal. If they don't now, they will mob them. Okay, somebody like Chinedu Kedieze, Ake, and Popo. I'm just giving you an example. Those two people, you expect them to just come into your country, and they will just mob them. That's why you should understand. Some of my colleagues, for example, I go alone most times if I'm invited, but sometimes I go with my wife. She's also my manager. But it's not always, because she's a businesswoman. She has things to do. I want producers to understand that. Beyond that, I commend Nigerian Film Corporation. And I do not know if the government agency and our Minister for Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy, whether there's any representative from them. National Assembly, is there any member of the House? Even their assistants. They are supposed to be here to listen to some of these things that we are all saying, so that when they go back, they'll be able to, tell their other members, and they need to pass certain bills that will help promote filmmaking. Filmmaking here, collaborations from country to country. Unfortunately, I wasn't around when we talked about the co-production treaties. There are still a lot of co-production treaties up to now that we've not signed. One, with Canada. Two, with so many other countries. I know Biomelenya will tell you some of the challenges he's having. Yet, there are funds out there. I'm not saying between government and government, we must also protect them, because we also have funding from Nexim Bank and other sundry people who also have funding they want to put. But we must protect them. That's why governments are asking. It is usually film business is government to government, so that you protect their own, you're able to access their funds, and they too will be able to access their own fund, our own fund here, when there is any means of collaboration. But having said that, I still think that we still have the private business sector, initiative. That's why some people have been luckier, like my sister who is Nigerian but in Rwanda. You see her talk about Rwanda so much, which I'm happy that she will also show us, who are filmmakers, to also be able to tap. Yes, show us the way. My sister from South Africa wanted to say something. My sister, I want to tell you, that's no problem. We are one and the same. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for staying and listening to us. I think we've had a wonderful conversation. I want to assure the panelists that we have repertoires. Of course, this session and other sessions have been streaming live. And then we have people who are taking notes. We are going to make reports. We are going to report to our supervisors and then the National Assembly members and the committees that oversight us. So be rest assured that the happenings at Zuma International Film Festival will get to where it's supposed to get to. We are going to extract some actionable recommendations for government to, take notes. And then the ones that are within our purview will do it. The ones that are outside of our purview would escalate them and extract commitments to implement. So be rest assured. Thank you very much, Gilbert, for making it. We are really we are excited to see you, because we tried that much to make sure that you were able to cross. In fact, at some point, we were trying to arrange for you to come by speedboat and enter Oron, and then you enter Uyo, then you catch Ibom Air to Abuja, but that didn't work. But we are happy that you made it. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Please, let's put our hands together for Gilbert. Thank you very much for coming. My brother, journalist, filmmaker, thank you very much. Mr. Ejike, our veteran, thank you very much. Gloria, thank you very much. We're going to ask, we have been trying to engage at the Film Commission level. We've almost, I think, if I'm not mistaken, tied it up with Namibia. So this conversation that you're having in Rwanda, I think we should be able to escalate it. Barrister Okonkwo is here. Maybe after this, maybe you talk to her. Let us, have that formal. What you are doing somehow is, it could be termed informal, formal, informal. But we want to formalize it so that you create the opportunities for other, filmmakers both ways, to access both film cultures. Thank you very much. Kenneth, thank you for the work you do and the opportunities you create for the young ones, emerging talents. We know that they really are your followers and they want to become what you are. Thank you very much. Dr. Obi, Safari was something else. At least that was the latest. Thank you. I think you shot it just last year. Was it? Yeah, last year or so. And it's doing well. We saw the movie. Some people told us that, that was the first time they were seeing a co-production or a Nigerian movie that, departed from the norms, from the normal, and I think the film will resonate well. Thank you very much. We know the Kenyans are like South Africans to us, and I'm sure the film is also doing well in Kenya. Thank you, my friend from Limpopo. We'll see you in Durban next year, don't worry. Thank you for making it. You are emerging talent. You've seen what is happening here, and I think from the NVF, You will get more information about what we do. There are more opportunities in the Nigerian space. There were actually supposed to be 4 of them coming. Am I right? Okay, 3. But for some reasons, the other 3 couldn't make it along with her. But I feel that she will take the reports and take the experiences back to them. And we are hoping that next year, we'll have more than 4 of you coming. So go and start to plan your ticket and plan your money so that you come. Thank you very much. And then I'll hand over to Mr. Emeka Martins.
So let me also thank our wonderful moderators, Mr. Brian Etuk and Barrister Juliet Okonkwo. We now have a group photograph just before they step down. For the photograph, as a businessman from the East, we'll talk about that later. All right. All right, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful panel discussion there on what we can use film to reposition Nigeria and, of course, Africa in terms of image and PR, if you want to add. We thank the panelists one more time for that fine and wonderful presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, while that discussion was going on, I would like to acknowledge that the Director General of the National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, in the person of Dr. Are Abisoye Fagade, is ably represented here today. He is represented by Dr. Boye Longe, who is the SA Communication and Strategy to the DG of Nihoto. Please, can we give him a round of applause? Thank you very much. And just to mention that Nihoto has been a wonderful partner with the Nigerian Film Corporation and, of course, Zuma Film Festival. They have always shown massive support to us here. And I would like to crave the indulgence of the SA please to come up and say a word or two, more like a goodwill message from the DG and the Institute for Hospitality and Tourism. Sir, please, Dr. Boye Longe, you're welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, all. I didn't know I would be called up here. I just came to represent my DG. All protocols observed to all the reputable filmmakers and guests here. On behalf of the DG, CEO of NIHOTO, National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, I'm happy here to grace this laudable occasion. Of course, you're aware that our purview as a federal government agency is about regulating the professionals, practitioners in the hospitality, tourism, and travel industry. So for us, as promoters of tourism, of course, we all know that film and tourism, they are brothers and sisters. For us, it's filmmaking, which does a lot of storytelling about our identity, who we are as a people and as a culture. It's very important to us. We are happy to identify with anything that the film-making industry is doing within the country in terms of economic development, economy, the creative economy, and also promoting the tourism and positive identity of our people. Thank you very much for having us here, and I wish you a very lovely deliberation today. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for Dr. Longe, the SA Communication to the DG of Nihoto. So, and to thank all of you for your patience and time as well. We will be taking a break now. And remember that tonight is the grand finale of the Zuma International Film Festival, the 2025 edition. I assure you that it is an experience you will not want to miss. So please mark that and keep it close to your mind and heart that at 5 p.m. this hall will be transformed for the closing ceremony of Zuma Film Festival 2025. You want to know those that have been nominated for awards and then those that would have won the Zuma International Film Festival 2025 awards. So please, you are invited, cordially invited. At this time, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Thank you.